Let me get this thing going here. Right, everybody, Happy New Year. Just checking out the sun, trying to get things set up, so just bear with me momentarily uh while we get this going here. Trying to get stuff focused up, get the scope warmed up, got the heaters on the scope, and hopefully um hopefully we'll have a good view of the sun today. It's looking pretty good right now. But we are using the Lunt Solar Systems LS60 modular telescope with a hydrogen alpha Etalon filter installed, and we're using the Player One Apollo. Um, was it the MX 428 Pro? This particular camera here was sent to us from Player One to actually test and review. So I've got their other two models of the MX, and they sent me this one to see how it works in comparison with the other two. And so far, I'm really impressed with this one. All right, so let me get us focused up here. I'll get us going. Just bear with me for a minute while we get really good focus. Wow, that sun's looking good today. Maybe we'll catch a few airplanes in here today. We'll see. And if you're in here, uh, don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash that like button. All right, so here we have the sun today in hydrogen alpha, and we're looking at it inverted, and that's why we see it like this. But I just wanted to be able to point out all of the really cool filaments that's going along today. Let's zoom in a little bit more so you can see what's going on here. So we have really cool sunspot right there, and really big filament in this area right here. And you can see all the cloud looking like features all over the face of the sun today. Those are all filaments. And just remember, filaments, prominences are one of the same. It just depends on how you're looking at it, um, whether we're looking at it uh, face on or around the rim of the sun. And what's really cool over here is these filaments here are standing out. What's really cool about this setup is you can see these almost like a 3D model. They're really reaching up above the solar surface, but it looks the same as this one, but you can't tell that it's coming straight up at you because we're looking at it straight down. But more off to the side, you can see it, so that's pretty cool. And up here today, there's a lot going on up here. Look at that. Those are huge. And this right here, if we were looking at this row, starting from about here all the way over to here, If it were actually on the rim of the sun, we would call that a hedgerow of prominences. But right now, I mean, it is a filament, but if it were up here, we're looking at it sticking up. It's a prominence. So there we go. Just add a little bit more contrast to it. That is pretty neat looking. Wow. Sun's very active today. There's a really cool sunspot right there. Let's see if we can get zoomed in a little bit further. And all that waviness you see is the atmospheric disturbance going on. Yeah, that's a really nice looking sunspot. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's get back to regular view of the sun. So let's bring the exposure back down just a little bit. And we always darken it up just a little bit to show some contrast so you get a better view of it. Oh, not too much there. It's a little chilly outside, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little cracky or the microphone is a little weird. I'm talking inside this little box, so trying to keep the sun and the cold off of me. But here we go is a view of the sun. Let's put some color to it. There we go. So now what you see here is, hey, stars and sips, glad you're here. Here is some flare activity going on here. As you can see around the solar surface, it's all about the same color, other than the contrast in between the filaments we have here and the sunspot here. A little bit of activity here. Let's get zoomed in a little bit more so you can see a little bit better here what I'm referring to here. So we have a little bit of activity here, but we have a lot of activity going on in this area up here. And if we were going to have a solar flare, we would be having some around in this general area next to this sunspot right here. This is some hot spot activity going on. Let's put some contrast to it. Darken it up just a little bit. And now you can really see how this is really active going on around this sunspot. And if we were to sit here and watch this for a couple hours, we might even actually get to see a flare come out of there. But it would take a little while. And the light that we're seeing here from this activity is roughly 8.5 minutes old. That's how long it takes for that light to reach Earth, from the sun to the Earth. All right, so there's that. Let's see if there's anything along the rim of the sun today. Let's see how active that is. Let's boost the gain up. And let's see if we can't see what's around the outer edge of the sun today. Just go real slow. All right, so here we go. Remember earlier when I was talking about the hedgerow? This hedgerow right here, this is what this is right here. That's what we're looking at. That's what I was talking about earlier. This hedgerow. That's pretty cool. Let's see if we can get a little closer into that. There we go. So there's the hedgerow that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to turn the gain down just a little bit to maybe get a better focus in on it. There we go. So there's that one. That's probably 100,000 kilometers high. And you could probably get 3, 4, maybe 5 Earths from the rim to the top of that prominence. That's how big those things are. Let's just scroll around. There's a pretty nice big one. And what I ask you to do is that even if you don't hang out for the whole time that we're here, just take a mental note of where these prominences are when we first start. And then an hour or so later, you can see how they've changed or moved, grown or shrunk. Sometimes they'll hang out for weeks at a time. See, we have some barely barely have any going here. So there's some at the top there. There's one at the top. Let's see if we can't get that exposed in a little bit more. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Let's get a little closer. So you can see all that waviness going on. That is the atmospheric disturbance going on. And I'm just looking up at the sun now. Oh, and just please don't do this unless you have the proper equipment. This here is dedicated uh, hydrogen alpha um, solar scope equipment. It's safe to look at the sun visually if you have everything installed, but just don't do it with your eyes or without the proper equipment. Definitely don't want you to burn out your eyeballs on that. So there's that prominence, and that's probably 150,000 kilometers high. It's hard to judge, but there is a good rule of thumb, and um, it's it's usually the way I found it is about the size of your cursor, depending on what it is. This is about the size of um, almost 2 Earths, maybe 1.5 Earths. So that's how you can kind of fit and judge, see how high it goes. But if we were looking at, let's see here, let's get this back out to here. And I can see it looks like a big ball of flame. There's a big one over here we didn't take a look at, but we'll go look at it in just a second. But you could fit around 1 million Earths inside the circumference of the sun. So you could just slam it full of 1 million Earths there. That's how that's how big the sun is. Let's get zoomed in on this hedgerow right here. This is a really good looking hedgerow, and then we'll go take a look at this one over here. That's a big one. Let's go take a look at this one here. There it is. Let's bring the try to get it. See if I can get it focused on that. There we go. This is about as good as I can get it focused on the rim. It's so bright. It is difficult to get all that uh, focused in properly. But if we go here, you can see this one here. This one here is if you were to do a time lapse, it would be swirling at the top. It would just be going round and round and swirling around. That's pretty cool. And of course, we have that big one at the bottom here. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, that's pretty cool looking there. Let's get that focused in. It's about the best it's going to get on that. That is pretty neat. All right, let's get it back down to where we need it. Just bear with me here while I get it reset up. We'll go look at some of these sunspots. Try to get some of these sunspots up close. What I'm going to do is now I want to add a lot of contrast to it, zoom in, and that way I can get the focus back to where I need it. So let me get focused on this sunspot right here. So what we do is we darken it up quite a bit, and you want a nice sharp focus there. That's about the best we're going to get today. That's about as close as we're going to get to that sunspot right there without putting a Barlow in there. It is pretty cool looking though. As you can see right there, that's where the hot spot is. That's where all the flare activity is going on right now, right in there. Oh, is it lagging? Yeah. It says, let me double check and see what the says we have an excellent stream quality. Oh, nope, says YouTube isn't receiving enough maintain. Okay, all right. Um, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go inside and check the settings on the router. Just give me just a minute. Y'all just hang out right here. Let me let me get you a full view of the sun here so you can just chill out with a full view of the sun. There we go. Just chill out right there for a minute. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go check out with the router and make sure that we have the best settings possible. Oh, look here. This is now see this is early from earlier. Go back and look at the video. There wasn't a lot of hot spots going on. So right now there's some flare activity starting to happen around this group of sunspots here. These are the sunspots. And right there's the activity. I'll be right back. Just chill out and watch the sun for just a minute. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Just wanted to make sure that I have a good connection with the router. So, all right, I don't see any planes coming by or possible planes, but I'll keep an eye out. And you might be able to see, you'll see them when they come by because they'll be over here in this area right here, coming in off the screen on the GoPro. You should be able to see that off the GoPro. All right. And let's see here. Let's go back to looking at it like this, inverted. It's a really cool look when you look at it inverted. You can really add a lot of contrast and make the filaments really stand out. So let's get, since it is a little chilly today, it's going to require constant focus. And I've got some dew heaters um, I've got some dew heaters on the scope. As you can see right here, there's some around the blocking filter here, which it is nice and warm right now. And then I have two of them, well, actually one just wrapped around itself on the Edelon filter up here. Excuse me. Because what happens is when it gets cold, those Edelon filters, for whatever reason, the pressure inside and the way it works, um, it's hard to make these details stand out. So I got to put a heater on it. Um, but it seems to be doing pretty good today because you can see a lot of the detail. Now this particular filament here is really huge. It's cool because if you were looking at it, from the side, it would be sticking out pretty far. But you can tell um, uh, where the sunspots are now, because what is hot is now white. Because we've got it reversed. I mean, so um, it looks like maybe something's starting over here. Let's Oh, I hear a plane. Okay, this one's going to be close. If you can see it coming off the GoPro over here, um, it's kind of hard to judge, but it's hard to see. But let's get a really good view of the sun going here before the plane comes by, if it comes by, and we'll be able to see it when it comes by. If so, I think it's going to be just too. It's going to be just too low. Yeah, it's going to be just low. There's a lot of air traffic out today, but nonetheless, here we are. Um, Again, we're watching the sun today from a backyard here in South Carolina using the Lunt Solar Systems LS60 modular telescope. It's got a hydrogen alpha filter. It's an Edelon built-in filter here. It's tunable by pressure by this valve over here. And then it's got a blocking filter here. And then, of course, we're using the Player One's Apollo MMAX 428 Pro. Player One sent us the camera for testing. And as you can see right there in the GoPro, as you can see up here, there's a plane, and it just missed us. It just missed coming through. But hopefully a little later on we'll catch one. But right now we're just checking out the hotspot activity here around these sunspots. And these sunspots are right here. There's a sunspot. That one's growing. There's one there. And there's one right there. There's a bunch of filaments going across the surface. And let's see if we can get a little closer. And maybe, yeah, there we go. Now it looks like we can. Oh, there's a lot of atmospheric disturbance, a lot of air turbulence. Ooh, look at that. Okay, that looks really good there. Let's leave it there for a second. So now you can actually see almost down inside there. That's pretty cool. There we go. So what we have here is a sunspot. Looks like it's breaking into three pieces. But then we have some filaments coming out from around it and some really, really hot spot of activity, like a hotbed of activity here. So what these sunspots are, this one here is almost a well-defined sunspot. As you can see the plasma right there, the sun's plasma is just floating above the solar surface. The magnetic forces keeps it, floating up there, so it's not quite as hot. It's still extremely hot, but not as hot as the solar surface, so it's a little cooler, so it looks dark. But it's just sitting there floating around. That's really cool. And all this other plasma material goes up and then it gets drawn back in. And when you do a time lapse, if you check out my website or my channel, I do a lot of solar time lapses. and you'll see that plasma going up and then coming back down. It's like coronal rain, sometimes they call it. Oh man, the it is difficult to keep this thing really sharp focus like that right there. It just changes all the time. Um, wow, that is pretty cool right there. You can really see inside the sunspot. It looks like a sunflower almost. Well, we just had a plane go by, but no, I hear one up there, but I don't see it's must not be very high. Okay, let's do that in case the plane comes by. I just can't see it. Ooh, the sun is too bright. All right, let's have a look around the outside of the rim again here. Let's boost up the gain here. Go. Tell you what, we did that once before. Let's look at it inverted. It looks pretty cool that way. Let's do it this way. Let's go this way. Let's bring it down like this. Excuse me. And then let's do it like this. So now you can kind of see. There you go. Kind of gives you a different view of the sun's outer rim and all the prominences that are really starting to take shape here. This is huge. This is a really huge hedgerow prominence right here. And again, this thing is at least 100,000 kilometers high, and probably 200 or 300,000 kilometers in length. It's it's really out there. Now this one here is starting to build on the bottom here, and I like these when they build. They look kind of like a shape. And for your movie buffs, I said this the last live stream was they kind of look like reminds me of Asgard when they show the city there. But let's look at this, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. Let's see if I can focus in on just that prominence. I may have to put another Barlow in, but there we go. That's pretty cool right there. Whoops, come back. There we go. But that's the one that we were looking at right there. Again, it's just plasma just floating along, and it's being forced out, uh, and then it gets drawn back in. It could sit there for hours, weeks, month maybe. But if you do a time lapse of these things, you can watch them, and they just dance. It's pretty cool to watch. There's that hedgerow. That thing is looking really cool. Let's see if I can change it just a little bit by make it a little bit darker there. All right. Get a little bit more contrast to it. Maybe it stands out a little bit more. Okay, all right. Here we go. We've got a potential um we've got a potential target coming up here. Okay. Oh no, it's just too low. Wow. They're so close. You'll see it, and you'll see it come on camera here in a minute. Coming over here off the GoPro, there's going to be a plane coming in, and it's just off. Wow. That was just so close. Sorry about that. I really want y'all to be able to see a plane come by. It's pretty cool to see a plane uh, when it transits the sun. It's pretty cool looking. Yeah, it's too low. Yeah, we missed that one. Oh well. All right, let's see here. Let's get back in on some of these sunspots here. Let's go get re-zoomed in and refocused. So I gotta make it a little bit darker. And we'll get it zoomed in pretty close. So I can try and get the best focus. Ooh, the wind's blowing. Oh, chilly out here. So anyway, there we go. There's earlier this one here wasn't sparking off, but you got a little sunspot going on right here and a little bit of a flare activity going on starting around that one right there. So that's the sun's starting to get a little bit more active as we go throughout the day. Lots of plane activity going on too. Wow. I was really hoping we'd be able to see one. But thanks for hanging out with us today on New Year's Day. What's a Barlow? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the chat here. So a Barlow is basically it's a doubler. It's a way to magnify. It's just like a magnifier lens, like a pair of glasses almost. It's just a way that we're able to zoom in a lot more than normal um, of seeing things. So if we were to put a 4 times Barlow on this, so here's a good example. So this would be the sun with no Barlow. And then if we were to put a 2 times Barlow, there's an example of what it would be. So then, and this is just a roundabout. And if we did a 3 times Barlow, then we'd be looking at it like this. And then if we did a 4 times Barlow, we'd be real close into it like this. Um, and and I wouldn't have to zoom. Right now I'm using a digital zoom to go into here. It's not a Barlow, so to speak. Um, that's kind of how Barlow works. But when you use a Barlow, they have this thing because the way the glass is made, these things are called Newton rings, and they have these rings all around inside of it, and you got to have a tilter that would tilt your camera, or a solar tilter, or do some flats to correct for that. Thanks, Kieran. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. But Barlow is a good way to go, or Power Mate's pretty much the same thing. Power Mate has a little bit better glass, more glass in it. Um, but I'm using a 2 times Barlow right now, but we're not actually using the whole piece of the Barlow. We're just I unscrewed the glass of the Barlow and screwed it in and stuck it in the base of this camera, because this particular camera, um, it it has the ability to just screw right on the blocking filter like a regular deep space camera would. Um, let's get back out here. But sometimes I use a Barlow. I've used a 4 times Barlow, but this particular telescope is only a 400 millimeter focal length. So right now we're looking at it. It's like an 800 millimeter focal length is the way we're basically looking at it. But it's if we go too much, if we use too much Barlow in it, it just it you don't well one the more Barlow you use, the more waviness you're going to see through that atmospheric disturbance. It's going to amplify that too, so it'll get really really wavy. So like right now you see all this waviness going on, but when you look at it like this, it's not as noticeable. It's there, but when there's a lot of it, or when there's a little bit of it, you don't even really notice it. It just depends. All right, let's go back to the inverted look. So we can see these other filaments. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the contrasted coming back. Whoops. My fingers are cold and it just takes a little bit of movement of the mouse to make it good or bad. It's very finicky when your fingers are cold. All right, there we go. Now let me get it back in close and we can zoom in again. Not zoom in, but focus up on it. Hey, that's looking pretty good. Looking real good, actually. So we're looking at the sun inverted. And again, we're using the Lunt Solar Systems LS60. It's a modular telescope. So this particular telescope, you can take off the Etalon filter, which is the Etalon filters right here. You can take that off and then unbolt it from the focuser and put the focuser back on, and you can have a 400 millimeter telescope uh, to use visually, or at night you can do astrophotography with it. I haven't done that yet. Of course, the blocking filter is right here, and there's some dew heaters on the blocking filter and on the Etalon, and there's a tuning handle that's right here. It's a pressure tuner, and what that pressure tuner does is it allows you to really focus in, or I'm going to say focus, expose either the chromosphere, the main surface of the sun there, the outer surface there, or you can do the rim, and you can just do like you can make all those filaments, all this looks like clouds, this 3D looking cloud stuff. You can make all that go away. And what I mean by that is if I rotate this pressure knob in either direction, it's going to release the pressure, either increase or decrease the pressure. So watch what happens to the I'll zoom it back out. Watch what happens to the features of the sun when I decrease the pressure in the Etalon. It's going to get shaky, okay? And I'll just stop right there. As you can see, the features are going away, and it's looking like it's a dark slick spot over here. Now, if I continue to do that, everything goes away, and now we're just looking at sunspots. So if I take this back and let's bring it back down. So now what you see is you can barely see some of the looks like freckles on the sun. You barely see anything, the cloud features, and we're going to keep decreasing it. And as you watch, as I'm talking here, I'm decreasing it. As you can see that, they're going away. But the sun is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. So now I have released almost all of the pressure on the filter. And now what you see here is the Newton rings. Can y'all see that? See these rings that are going around in a circle right here? That's the Newton rings of the Barlow lens that we're using. But what it's showing now is we're only showing the sunspots. And now we can look at the sunspots in better detail. Let's get a little closer in on that. This is what you would see. Let's take this down just a little bit more. There we go. All right, now let me try to get a little bit better focus part here. There we go. Now look at that. So here we're looking at the sunspots, but we're looking at it like with a regular telescope without the hydrogen alpha filter. We're just looking at the sunspot in general. You can see some of the other details there, but not like you could earlier. You can see some of the hot spots. You can see some of it, but like I say, not in very great detail, but there it is. That's the sun. Um, looking at it basically with a white, it's called like white light filter. Um, and from last week to the week before, it's not it's active, but it's not as active as it was the week prior or even last month, where there was a lot of these sunspots just traversing across the sun, causing a bunch of chaos and stuff. So what we're going to do now is um, we're going to increase the detail, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back to this. So now what you should be able to do is you should be able to watch the surface of the sun slowly come back. See those details coming back? Now let's give a little bit more. Oh, we just had a bird, like a bird fly by. So let's slowly increase it. And as I do that, it gets brighter, so I'm going to have to adjust everything. And now you can see the filaments starting to show up. So what we'll do here is look at the sun normally, and let's get it contrasted up and get some. Give me just a second. We'll see if we can't get all that nice detail back. I got to get it retuned back in there. Now we over pressurized it, so I just got to bring it back just a little to where it gets an even bit of color and detail. I think that looks good. Let's change it to this, and this is an inverted. And I'm just trying to get the best detail we can there. All right, so let's adjust it a little bit more. Okay, so now I think we're back to where we were before, where now we can see all of the nice filaments, sunspots, and there's another plane, but it's too low. Let's go and look around the rim. So let's change it back to normal view, but let's get refocused back up. So now it was every time you change the pressure in the filter, you're going to have to probably focus back up. So let's do that. Let's get this focused. That's a pretty clear, other than the waviness of the atmospheric disturbance going on. All right, let's go look at the rim of the surface. Let's get this back down to a decent level here. There we go. All right, let's see if there's anything that's changed on the rim of the sun here. Let's go look at, oh yes. So now I can tell you what's changed already just by looking at it is over here off to the right hand side. That's grown. We've starting to get some prominences growing off the top here. So let's go take a look at those. Let's go take a look at those. I'll start at the top here. And there we go. Yep, so these are starting to grow a little bit. This looks like a little palm tree up here, um, coming out here. That's pretty cool looking. Keeps hearing these planes. I'm really hoping that we're going to get a plane come by. So there we have that. That's cool. Let's see what's going along the other side here. Ooh, man. Let's see if I can get that a little bit better of a view here. Sometimes it's hard to get it adjusted just right. so you can see those prominences. Wow, those are really nice. The hedgerow is looks like it's grown a little bit from earlier, but this one has grown a little bit here. This one here, the little thing that we said earlier, if you were watching it as a um, time lapse, it would be sit there and twirling. This is a pretty cool one here. This is a well-defined hedgerow right here. This is, let's see if we can focus that a little better. Yeah, there's a little bit better. All right, let's see if we can, wow, we can see a little bit of the structure in there. Oh man, there's a couple planes. Nope. So anyway, there's a pretty cool looking prominence. That's probably 150, maybe 170,000 kilometers high from the rim to the top. Wow. Yeah, the sun's looking pretty good today. It's pretty active around the rim. It's more, I would say, active. It looks like more active around the rim than it is in the center. Um, well, let's go back and welcome in if you're just joining us. We're checking out the sun today with the Hydrogen Alpha telescope made by Lunt Solar Systems. It's an LS60, and it has a pressure-tuned Etalon filter in the middle. It has a blocking filter in the back, and then we're using a Player One Apollo M-Max 428 camera that was sent to us from Player One for testing. And that's what we are using to look at the sun today. And of course, all of what you're seeing right now around the rim of the sun, those are prominences. This is a really big hedgerow of prominences that's probably 150,000 kilometers high, and it's really really big. You can fit probably from the left to the right. Well, the cursor here is about the size of the Earth, a 1.5 Earths, so you could probably get a good 12 Earths in between there, and then high, 5, 6, or 7 of them stacked up from the solar surface. It's uh, it's really cool. And if if you haven't seen them yet and you want to see a time lapse, just log on to my website or go to the YouTube channel and check out um, the time lapses. They're really cool to watch. And if you are interested in learning how to process solar images, um, all you have to do is go to my YouTube channel. There's a tutorial on there that I created, how to process solar images. And inside the description, there's a link to my Google Drive, which actually has the data there. You can download the data file, and I'll walk you through the entire process to stack it, to sharpen it, to colorize it, and to create your own image. So feel free to go in there and practice making your picture, a solar image. And there's even a link to the individual items that you need to process it. There's a bunch of different ways to process it, but everything is free other than PixInsight, and you don't need PixInsight to do any of that. So let's take a look at the sun again. Let's look at some sunspots. So let's bring this gain back down to a reasonable amount. Let's get refocused. Ooh, that wind is blowing. Whew. All right. Just bear with me for a minute so I can get this focused back up. Get a good picture going here. Let's look at a couple of these sunspots. That's pretty good right there. Let's see, which one do we want to look at? Let's go look at the one at the top. All right, let's get a little zoomed in a little further. Bear with me for a minute here. A lot of atmospheric disturbance going on at the moment, so I'm having to constantly focus. Do have some flare activity going on right there. Let's boost it up just a little bit. A little bit of contrast there. There we go. So what we're looking at is a really nice filament, which again, filaments are prominences, but this just depends on how you look at it, whether you're looking at it face on or around the rim. And there's a huge rope filament extending out from this one here. So it's anchored to the sun's solar surface here and traverses over here to this active region, and there's a sunspot right there. And then we probably have, wow, look at all that disturbance going on right now. There is a lot of atmospheric disturbance, turbulence, air turbulence, if you will, going on at the moment. Wow, that's a lot. Excuse me, y'all. The wind blowing, it's chilly out here. There's a lot of airplanes up there. Okay, it's starting to calm down just a little bit. So when you focus up and you try to compensate for that turbulence, and then the turbulence goes away, and then you lose your focus. So there is, let's see here. It's easier to find, like, so this is a black and white camera, and this is what the sun normally looks like. You just darken it up with contrast. But to see the items on the sunspots or the filaments, let me adjust this filter because it looks like we're missing some detail here. Hang on. Oh, there's two jets going by. Wow, we just missed that one. Um, but it's easier to look at this, like this filament right here. It's easier to see the filament if we have it colorized with just a color and then darken it up. So when you darken it up and then you zoom into that filament, it's easier to look at and focus on when you make it darker so you have some background contrast going on. It's just easier to do it that way. I have found it's easier to see. Here's another good example of a rope filament. And what's cool is it's anchored to the sun right here. So this plasma is just coming up off of the solar surface, coming out probably 150,000 kilometers high, and then anchored back down again. And you could drive underneath this. Think of this as like the, what is that, the St. Louis Arch? Think of this as the arch, and you could go underneath this thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty neat to be able to go underneath that thing. That's cool. But you can see there's really no activity. It's not a hot spot, an active region where a flare would want to be coming out right now. It's not very hot, so to speak. But if you go up here, this is where your activity is going on. These are those sunspots, and more times than not, you're uh, you're you're going to get a flare come out here. Look at this. This is pretty cool. I've never seen this before. I'm going to zoom in really close. This looks cool. This is a filament that's going up into the air and it's spinning around like a circle, like a donut. It's hard to see that. Oh, man. Oh, that would be so cool to see right there. Wow, that's cool looking. If that's what that is. You can kind of see it. Looks like a little circle right there. Wow. There's lots of turbulence going on in the air right now. I'm having to readjust. Wow. Huge, huge filaments traversing across the sun here. Just checking the skies here for a second. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get an airplane. All right, let's pull it back into inverted mode. Let you see the rim again. And this is just inverted. This is just a different way of looking at the sun. If anybody has any request on what to see in the sun, what part, just throw it in the chat. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat. I'll try to answer it. I'm just hunting around the rim of the sun till we can hopefully see a nice big. Hopefully we can catch a flare. That would be really cool to see. That really would. I've got one on video one time on a time lapse. Let's see here. Just trying to get I adjusted the pressures earlier. I'm just trying to get them back to where we've got more stuff popping out at us. Sorry, just give me just a minute here to try to get the pressure just right. They make this, they make a device that's, it controls air pressure and it does it like a certain PSI where it's the perfect pressure to be. And, of course it's like $800, so, but you hook it to your computer and it automatically adjusts the pressure for you. So it keeps it there so you don't ever have to keep changing it. Oh, we just lost our tracking. Oh well. Let me go back and get this back. Because what's going to happen is if I don't fix what I just did, we're going to lose our tracking ability here. So give me just a second. We're going to restore this and hit the calibrate button here. All this does is it's going to move the sun across the screen. It's coordinating with the mount. It'll move it in north, like it'll go like the northeast and then south and west, or it does it in a little certain way. And it should be moving. I don't know why it's not moving. There it goes. All right. Well, now we're having some issues here, so give me just a second. Let's get it centered back in there. That's just me moving the sun around a little bit. Just trying to get the automatic tracking feature. You don't have to have it. It's just a whole lot easier to use if you have it on. That way you don't have to pay attention to the sun drifting off the screen. It'll do it for you. It'll just monitor it for you. So just give it just a second here. We're getting it recalibrated. So hopefully it'll track the sun all by itself. And I won't have to monitor it. Even if it doesn't track again, it's okay. We should be okay because I can physically watch it, keep it from going off screen. There we go. So let me open this back up. We'll hit the guide button here. All right, so now it's going to automatically keep this thing centered in the screen for us. That's all that the guiding feature is. But every time that I go in here and I mess with the contrast, if it gets too dark, then it loses um, the brightness, and it was calibrated. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but if it gets too dark, and we don't turn the brightness back up, then it's kind of like it can't see where it's at, so it loses tracking capability. Um, to the best of my knowledge on that's how that works. Okay, so now that's pretty clear. That's looking really, really good. These sunspots are looking really good. There's some s'mores. Huh? There's some more little sunspots starting to form. I just heard a plane. I thought it might be close, but yeah, these filaments are looking really good. Just wish there were some more uh, flare activity going on in there. There's a couple of them around here. They're looking pretty good. These are looking good. I wonder if what was that? Oh, well, there's one. That's a we got a I don't know. That's a possibility. So we have we have one plane. He's way up there. And if you ever sit there and watch a plane go across the sky, it doesn't go straight, it kind of goes like this. So as I'm looking at it, it looks like it's got a pretty good chance. We're pretty far away, but if it keeps going on the trajectory that it's heading on, we got a pretty good chance of this plane crossing our path. So we're going to leave it here just for a second. I was going to keep an eye on it. You can look at this hot spot activity we have right here. Now you can see all the hot spots now. Remember earlier we started this thing, there wasn't that many hot spots. But now there's a pretty good amount of activity going on the solar surface from compared to when it was this morning. Uh, I think it's a small plane. It's a small jet. I think it's going to miss. Oh man, I can't really see. The sun is so bright. Yeah, it's going to miss it. Ah, that would have been really cool if we could have seen that. But I really appreciate you hanging out with us today for at least a little while here. Let me see something here. Okay, we've been streaming for an hour. All right. Oh, it's a spider. Get out of here. Don't need spiders in here today. Oh, oh, that was just too low. There's another one that snuck up on me. It's too low. I don't know if you can see it or not on the, excuse me, I don't know if you can see it or not on the GoPro. This is a GoPro right here that you're seeing the telescope with. That's my um, GoPro there. All right. Well, there's two planes going on either side of it. So, wow. We just missed that one. That was so close. I'm going to see if I can't get it zoomed in a little bit more. Yeah, wow, that sunspot's looking really good now. It's starting to clear up. Starting to get a little bit better seeing right now. A little atmospheric disturbance is still there. It's just the seeing quality has increased. And this rope filament that we talked about earlier from this one has got itself really defined there. It's going around, it's kind of going up and over. And this filament here, which we talked about earlier, looks like the St. Louis Arch. That's pretty cool. That is really cool right now. If we did a time lapse, we might probably see some solar flare activity going on in this region. That would be really cool to see. We're just going to leave it here just for a minute to watch this. See if I can get it. See, it's 75. Let's go over. I got to scoot it over just a little bit more. I got to see where this camera is to try to fit everything on the screen at one time so you can see it. It's a little difficult. But we got, hopefully got most of the active region on the screen for you. There it goes. We're going to scoot it over here. But I'm going to leave it sit here just for a second. And then I'm going to run in, grab me something to drink, and I'll be right back. I don't see any planes in the area. Oh, that would be so cool if we could have a plane go by right now. But take a break. Check out the really cool sunspots we got going on right now. Some filaments and some hot spots. Maybe some possible flare activity going on around here. And I'm going to put it back on a full view of the sun here. There we go. And I'm going to brighten it up just a little bit, just in case we have a plane come by while I'm running inside. I'm going to run inside real quick, get something to drink. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Just keep watching. Keep an eye out for those planes. Ooh, there's some birds. We might have a. Ooh, yeah, look at there. That we got some buzzards in the area. Last stream we had a couple buzzards fly through there. So we probably got about 30 or 40 more minutes, and then I'm going to have to do a meridian flip, is where the telescope tracks. As you can see here, the telescope is on this side, and it's tracking. It's going to be coming this way, and then we're going to have it flip around the other way um, because it won't track the sun if we don't. So just I'll be right back. Just give me a 5 minute uh, pause here. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about the pause there. Um, Pretty soon we're going to lose our tracking capability because of the meridian flip. So we will have to do a flip here shortly. And what that means is this, you can see the head of the mount here. The base of the mount is facing basically a 90-degree angle from what it is. Normally it's in the straight up mode. And what I'll do is I'll leave the GoPro here. I'll have to disconnect the solar camera so we don't get any wires crossed. But I'll try to let you see the meridian flip happen when we do it. Excuse me, but what's going to happen is it's going to cause me to have to relocate everything that I have. I have to move this entire section of stuff here. I'm going to have to move it and put it on the other side of the scope. Um, but when that comes, I'll let you know because the sun will start to creep off the screen, and when it gets about halfway um, off the screen from where it is now, then that's when we'll do the flip because uh, there's no need to do it when it first starts because um, the sun has to pass a certain spot. Uh, the mount has to get to a certain area before um, it knows that hey, it's reached its limit and we need to swap over the other way. But it's not completely um, the the mount starts off kind of like this, and then as it tracks the sun, it kind of goes like this. And when it gets to a 90-degree angle, that's when it stops. It can't go anymore. So then now it can't track the sun. So then that's when the sun starts to drift off the screen. And we'll see that here shortly. It won't be very much longer before it does that. Um, so we're going to leave this just like it is. Um, and we're going to go in and look at some sun spots right here. We're just going to zoom in and look at these sun spots until the flip happens. And let's talk about sunspots. So what we have here is we have a little group of one perfectly looking sunspot here. When I say perfectly looking in my eyes, that means that um, it looks like a sunflower almost. And you can see the dark side, and then you have these what we talked about earlier, the filaments, all these little like rope features out that they're coming out from around that. So you see this really dark structure here. That's the plasma floating above the solar surface. It's just the magnetic forces are causing that plasma to float. Um, and it's a little bit cooler, not a lot cooler, but a little bit cooler than the surface. So that's why it's darker. And then these little filaments, these rope pieces, are like coming off of that sunspot and they're anchored down into the solar surface. And it just makes for an interesting. Oh, are we gonna get this one? Oh, there. I can't see. No. Oh wow, there's two. Sorry, there's two airplanes coming like this, and they're gonna be crossing in the view of the GoPro there, right at the sun. Wow. Oh, there's three all in one shot there. Wow, that's incredible. Uh, we missed all three. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, here they come. They're coming up on the GoPro now. Uh, there's three planes. Two coming like this and one coming like this, and the sun is here. And that would have been wild if we could have had a three-way on the sun. That would have been pretty cool. There goes another one right there. All right, so the 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 filaments that we were talking about earlier are connected to the sunspot, and they're just like little ropes. This plasma's floating around there. And there's all that energy there, that if the energy is strong enough and it's capable, it's it's not a volcano by any means, but in my eyes it's like a volcano. And if there's enough pressure, enough magnetic forces to let that energy release, it's a flare that comes out of there. That solar energy coming out of that plasma is just shooting out of there. And if it's strong enough, it will shoot out and eject plasma out into uh, out beyond the surface of the sun, and we'll get a coronal mass ejection. If it's strong enough and if it's facing Earth, we could have the aurora borealis or a geomagnetic storm, stuff like that. That's why these sunspots are so cool, and really, really neat to look at and watch. All right, there's a good chance we're going to have a bird and a plane cross here, and we're getting ready to have to. I'm going to lighten this up just a little bit so you can see if it does happen. Oh, it's going to be so close. Where did it go? And then blinded by the light. Don't be looking at the sun's surface without proper stuff. You can't really see. It's too shallow. Wow, there are so many planes, and we just can't get the luck to have one come across there. So close. But we are so close to the meridian flip here, we're going to have to give it just another minute. Wow, the sun is looking really good today, though. It's looking really good. So while we're sitting here waiting on the sun to stop tracking, let's see what the rim looks like. And it looks like those hedgerows have started to fall down into the solar surface there. This one here has grown off a little bit. It's going a little bit more. All right, let's go here. Oh man. So close. All right. We're getting really close to a meridian flip, so we should start losing our tracking ability here in just a few minutes. And then we will do a flip and realign. So please just bear with us when we do that. I don't know if y'all can hear that beating in the background. That's my neighbor on his drums. Playing the drums. But excuse me, let's take a look at okay, so Player One, that's the brand name of this camera, Player One Astronomy. They sent this camera, this Apollo MMAX 428 Pro series, it's a solar camera. They sent it over to us here at Wilfredo's Astrophotography, our channel, to review. I have their other models of their Apollo MMAX, and I have to say so far that this camera has been performing outstandingly. We've been imaging for over an hour and a half now, and I've got it set at target temperature of -10, and it's on -10. It has not gone off of that, so it is holding its temperature as as advertised. And I will say that if you've watched any of my other short videos or solar live streams, you'll notice that I'm using their other version of the 428, but I bought a little cooler that goes on top of it that it bolts down and glues on there, and it plugs in with a fan that's on the top, and it doesn't compare to this cooler that's built in here, especially with the built-in dew heater on the protective window on the inside. This camera is pretty awesome. So um, just throwing that out there, and waiting for this meridian flip. And now the mount, you can see now, is getting about as far as it's going to go. And here shortly, the sun will just start to drift by itself off the screen. And then we'll wait till it drifts halfway off the screen, and that's when we'll uh, set everything back up to watch it flip, and I'll let you see that so you'll know what I'm talking about when we talk about doing a meridian flip. But the sun definitely feels good today because it is a little chilly out here with the wind blowing. Um, it is definitely nice outside today. Uh, it's a nice New Year's Day. But thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out on New Year's Day. Happy New Year to everyone. Again, we are looking at the sun using a Lunt Solar Systems hydrogen alpha telescope. This model is the LS60MT. So it's the modular telescope, meaning that it comes with a hydrogen alpha Etalon filter, pressure tuned filter that's in the center here. You can take it apart and take the Etalon filter off, put the focuser back on, and use it as a regular visual or astrophotography type telescope. So it's a multi-purpose scope. I have not used it yet for any nighttime picture taking, but I need to. I need to give it a shot and see how it does. It's a 400 millimeter focal length. We are currently using a 2x Barlow connected to the camera. And what that Barlow lens does for us is it doubles 2x, because we're using a 2x Barlow, it doubles the amount of zoom in power, so to speak. So it's kind of like using a magnifying glass, if you will, or a stronger pair of glasses. And what that does is this, if we were using the sun on the screen as a reference right now, if we were looking at it with no Barlow lens and we put a 2x Barlow, this is kind of what you would see. It'd be zoomed in a little bit. And then if we did a 3x Barlow, it'd be like this. And then if we used a 4x Barlow, it'd be like this. Just, it gets zoomed in each time you go. But every time you use a Barlow lens, the type of lens it has inside has some type of scientific thing behind it, but they're called Newton rings. They're these little round rings in there because of the lens and the magnification that it uses. They show up in your image, so you have to tilt. You have to tilt your camera, and they make a solar tilter. Player One makes one. I have one. Or you just put a popsicle stick in there and tilt your camera a little bit, jam it down in there. But um, it only shows up if you're under high power magnification, and usually with the 2x Barlow, it doesn't show up unless you change your contrast enough to where it will show up. But earlier in the live stream, we were able to make it show by changing the way we were looking at it. But here we are looking at it inverted. And this just shows the filaments a little bit easier. Welcome in, Leslie Royals. Sorry if I mispronounced your names, but again, we're just looking at the sun here. We are looking at it inverted at the moment. This is inverted. It shows the filaments and the sunspots in a different way than doing it with colorization. But this is that rope filament. It looks like the what do we call that? The St. Louis Arch. You could drive underneath this thing. Of course, this is 150,000, 170,000 kilometers high from the surface to the tip of this. It's an actual arch that you can go under. It's just because we're looking at it in a different way. That's why it looks like that. But this is a really cool way to look at the sun. And there is the rim of the sun. And now you get to see the prominences along the rim. And again, a prominence and a filament, one and the same. It's just a technical term on how we're looking at it, where we're visually looking at it straight on, downward, a filament, or around the rim off the side profile, prominence. And this is called hedgerow prominence. And this is really cool looking here. If you watch some of my time lapse, it just looks like a swirling tree of like fire, but it's not fire, it's plasma just up there spinning around. Looking all pretty cool. Let's see here. We've got one plane coming in. It's going to be too far off. It looks like it's going to be too far off. But the telescope looks like it's at almost out of a negative angle here, so it's going to have to. I know I keep saying we're going to have to do a flip here, but literally we're moments away from doing a meridian flip. I'm hoping that there's no planes going to be coming by, so we won't have to worry about. We could possibly see. We don't want to miss a plane during this time frame. But there's a good look at the outside of the rim. And let's go back to looking at the full view. There we go. Hope everyone is having a good new year today. All right. Yeah. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Love those proms. Yes. Those proms are really cool looking. The sun is really looking cool today. Really is. Let's get it contrasted back up so you can see a little bit better. We'll put it into solar colorization so you can see the hot spot activity. Not bad, not bad. See if we can get it focused back up. Wow, we were really far out of focus on that one. I had to turn it a good bit of ways to get it. There we go. Much better. Look at that. It's crisp. That's a nice, crisp view of the sun right there. Wow, we just missed a couple of cool planes. All right, again, we are definitely going to have to be watching. I got to keep an eye out on this meridian flip here. I hope everyone is having a great time today. I'm just looking at those sunspots. Really hope we can catch a flare coming out of there. That would be awesome. That really would be cool. There is that. It looks like there's more. Oh wow! Now we really have some of that horrible seeing is gone away. And now when we zoom in a little closer, you can kind of see a little bit more detail now. Those hot spots are really they're starting to get active, more active than they were earlier, in my opinion. And I hope that I hope the view that you're having on your end is as good and clear as it can be, like it is on my end. But I know that the internet, it's got to go through the internet, and um, whatever quality um, connection that Starlink has given us, it may or may not push out a good high quality. But this this is a real good representation. You can see that this filament here is attached here to here, but this particular filament, and if we were looking at it from the side, it'd be a prominence. It's standing straight up. You can literally see it coming off of this sunspot, going straight up and stopping. And that is still, again, probably, 100,000 kilometers high. It's huge. It is extremely huge, but it's just difficult to really tell exactly how big that is, um, just by looking at it alone. Let's see here. There we go. Had to move it over a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes when it gets zoomed in if it's actually staying on the screen for you to see. So I have to double check. It's really crazy too because I know there's a time delay. I don't know if it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds um, time delay from when I'm actually talking and moving stuff to where you actually see it. So if it sounds like I'm jumping all over the road talking, that's probably why. That wind is starting to pick up. Right, we're getting close. I know I keep saying it, but we truly are getting close. We are getting close to meridian flip. And what that's going to do is uh, if we don't change the position of the rotation of the camera when we do the meridian flip, then this particular sunspot may be over here or over here when it rotates to the other side. There's no harm, no foul of that. It's not going to make a big hill of beans, no matter which way it's facing. Um, but it's pretty neat how that works. And then you can actually, oh, excuse me, you can rotate the camera in itself. You can loosen the screws and rotate the view. So you could rotate uh, the view of this, or you could just come over here and rotate the view of the uh, of the particular um, view itself. We could flip it vertically or horizontally. I think. Um, we'll just let it ride like it is until it's time to flip. But that one really cool arch looking um, filament has stayed true. It's just hanging out. It looks like the St. Louis Arch. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. But if you love this live stream, please, excuse me, remember to smash that like button, subscribe, share the live stream if you can, and go check out the channel. There's lots of stuff on my channel that we do, and if you want to try to process your own solar image, I have a video out there. It's how to process solar images. If you open that video, look at the description about halfway down. There's a link to my Google Drive where the data is, and you can just take that data. It's safe. It's it's virus-free data, and you can go in there, watch the video. It's a tutorial, and I'll walk you through the process of processing your own solar image, and you'll be able to take a picture or make a picture of the sun how you want to make it. You just have to watch the video. That sunspot's looking pretty good right there. It looks like there is a little bit of a flare trying to come out from. I'm going to darken it up. I'm going to darken up quite a bit and see if we can't see if there's a solar flare trying to come out of this sunspot. And it's right here where the cursor is. We're going to leave it here just for a second. And if we start to see some bright flashes going on in this area, then we might just be witnessing a solar flare coming up. Kind of see how you see these bright flashes right here? If the bright flash, I just saw a minute ago, one was trying to come out of right in here. So if we start to see a bright flash in this area, right next to that, in between the two areas of that sunspot, then we'd be looking at a solar flare. And it looks like it's trying to. That's why I got it zoomed in. Could totally be wrong. These are very unpredictable. The sun is always changing. The magnetic fields are always changing on this thing. It's all over the place. So it could be building up some pressure. It could be releasing some plasma. There's a huge. There we go. There we go. It's time for the flip. Y'all see this? See it starting. The sun is moving by itself. Look, I'm gonna take off this solar colorization here. See the sun moving by itself? So that's not me. The sun is moving all by itself. So the mount has rotated a complete 90 degrees, and it's actually dipped a little bit to where it's no longer able to track the sun. So we're going to wait just a few more seconds for the sun to come off of the screen. Well, not screen, but it's going to go about halfway down. I'm going to go ahead and stop this tracking because it's literally going to try to hurt itself. All right, so I'm going to put on, for me, to help me get realigned back up, I'm going to put these crosshairs back on. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this thing do a meridian flip, and I'm going to try to get the sun centered back up in this crosshair so that when we restart the When we restart the tracking process, it should go a little smoother. Excuse me, y'all, I have to sneeze. All right, so now I got to disconnect a few things. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the sun. So you're going to lose the sun picture, but you'll still see the GoPro active. And so just keep an eye on the GoPro. And then, of course, you'll see me. I'll be up and around. I got to move this whole structure, this plastic box that I'm looking into to keep the sun out of my face. I've got to move it to the other side of the telescope. So give me just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera here. Excuse me. And we're going to um, turn off the camera. Okay. So the camera's stopped. And we're going to I got to make sure all of my cables are clear. So we can do a meridian flip. So I'm going to try to do this without getting in the way, but here we go. Here goes the meridian flip. Well, first it's going to go home. I'm going to have to rotate it over to where it goes to its home. Let me get my, what I do is I'll connect to the mount via my phone. And then what it'll do is when we get it back to the home position, I'll initiate going to the sun again. So give me just a second. We'll do the flip. So just keep an eye on the the GoPro there. All right, here we go. I'll make sure there's no wires going to get crossed here. I just had to disconnect the power wire. So as you can see, it's spinning around to get realigned. So what we're going to do is now we're going to move it back on this side. So give me just a second. We're going to use my phone to do that. But to do that, I may have to disconnect the camera because what's going to happen is it's going to spin around. I don't want any of the wires to drag. So what we're going to do is we're going to go search for the sun on my phone. Okay, so now it's flipping. So as you can see now, it's heading in the opposite direction. Excuse my sniffles there. Got to try to keep the heating cords from getting wrapped up. There we go. All right. So now, give me a second here, and I'll get all this changed over. Give me just a minute. I got to rotate this camera piece. I got to move the GoPro. I got to rotate this camera. Okay, so we got that. Just a minute. I got to get it somewhat centered before we start. That'll get us close to where we want to be. And just bear with me for a minute, folks, while we get this thing flipped and turned back on. I'm gonna have to disconnect my GoPro for a second, and I gotta move everything around. So just give me just a second here. Let's see, I gotta disconnect the GoPro. Excuse me. And let's see, how can I get this moved over there? Stand by one, y'all. Just bear with me. All right, so here we go. I gotta bring this over here. I gotta pick up this whole thing, move it around. Get on this side of the box. I can maintain, okay? So here we go. We get this slowly plugged in. Get everything moved back in. Just bear with me another minute. Almost there. Almost. Gotta find what I did with all my cables. Here's this one. All right, almost there. There's an easy way. I haven't found it yet to do this. Okay, so we're back there. All right, I think we're good. In just a second here. I'm gonna get things going back, so just let me get things going again here. Sorry, y'all. It's it's cold out here. My nose is running. All right, we got to get cameras back online. Okay, that sounds like it's starting to move in the right direction. All right, now I got to get it focused back in. So just bear with me, folks. Okay, there we go. So what I need to do now is I got to adjust the mount. I got to adjust the mount to get it back. Sorry. So sorry, I've got to get down here. I got to adjust this. There we go. I want to get the sun in about the center. The easiest way is to just loosen some things up and start rotating it around. But if you can get it close to center, doesn't have to be exact, but if you can get it, the closer you get it, the easier it is to track. That's pretty close. Okay, folks, here we go. Let me get this pulled back over here. Get everything set back up. Get all the views going in the right direction. All right, so sorry about that. Oh, I got to put this back to normal. Put this here. Sorry, when you disconnect everything, everything changes. So, okay. All right. So now, as you can see, the sun did move. It did change its direction. Let me look and see and make sure we're still broadcasting with the right picture. Okay, so there's some things I got to change here. Just bear with me here. And I need to go here. And then I need to, sorry, y'all, just bear with me. Need to make this smaller. Really want to try to hurry up because I don't want to miss a plane if it flies by. All right, I think we have that. Let's make sure it's fitting inside the screen here. All right, so I believe we're good there. Yes, we are good there. I just got to get it calibrated. So hang on, here we go. It's going to roll through its calibration piece. See if we can get it calibrated. Then we'll get focused up, and then we'll be right back to where we were. We'll be good to go. So give me just bear with me, folks, just for another minute. We just completed the meridian flip, and I'm just trying to get everything calibrated and focused up from back where we were before. Oh, I know why this isn't working, because out of all that stuff, I forgot to plug back in the mount, y'all. So just bear with me here, and I got to redo this again. Um, this is sometimes it's I forget things. Okay, here we go. We are calibrating. See if we can get this sun to move. Um, well, now we have a little small bit of an error. Hang on a second. Now I gotta make sure we're having this. All right. So let's do this. Let's make sure the mount is still there. Yep. Okay. We're still there. Let's see if it moves. All right. We're in solar. All right. So sorry. Just bear with me another second while we get this going again. Oh, come on now. Sorry, we're having to close out the program here and restart it. Sorry. I'm not sure what happened there, but when I disconnected the mount and the camera from SharpCap, it didn't like that. So just give it 2 seconds. We are restarting, and we should be good now. Should be coming right back. There we go. That's back online. That's good. We are on solar, so we're good there. Okay, now it's moving perfectly. Yep. All right, so we're good there. Let me do a feature tracking, monitor, and calibration. All right, there we go. Should have all this back online and ready to go here in just a minute. Get refocused up, get the camera set back right, so we can see the sun in all its glory. Yep. Let's put some more um, there we go. I just had to put a little bit more contrast in it. Let's try this again. Sometimes it has issues when I do a flip and have to reconnect everything. It has a problem trying to reconnect back and doing its tracking. So it may take once or twice to get it going. But just give me a minute. I promise we'll get it going back, get it focused up. This is the first time I've done a meridian flip while doing a live stream. So I've never had to reset everything back up. So I think it went pretty well with all things considering. There we go. All right, so now we are guiding. Is this in the right spot? Yes, this is in the right spot. Let me get that to where you can kind of see that a little better, maybe. All right, so now what you see is, I'm hoping that you are going to start seeing video capture. Which one is this? Sorry. Oh, I got to restart. I'm sorry. I got to restart the, there we go. Okay. I forgot when I disconnected the camera, y'all. My apologies that I needed to restart the device in which we are live streaming it. Okay, so now let's get refocused. For those, it's a little delayed, so just give it a second, and the camera will come back online. So now I'm just going to get everything refocused back up the way it was. We should be pretty close. Give me just a second here so I can get us. And now it's a little harder to get focused in because I'm reaching around the camera. Okay, there we go. I think we got it. Wow. Okay, so, excuse me. Here is something to point out. Um, before we left, um, when we left, before we did the meridian flip, we were looking at the hot spots here. This particular region has really gotten way hotter. And just give it a second, y'all. I know that my apologies. I needed to get the trying to get the sorry, making sure that what's on my screen is being broadcast that you can see. So give it just a second. It's supposed to be coming back online here. It should be. You should be able to start seeing the sun here in just a second. There you go. Okay. All right. It's just it's got a lag. But what I want to point out here is this. This section of the sun here compared to here, this is a very active region. But this is indication of some active flares going on right now, right here. This area right here. That's what's going on right here. So let's I'm just checking out, make sure we're not going to miss any planes here. Let's get zoomed in here and take a closer look at this area here, because this area is really active as of right now. And I've got it toned down. This is a, here's an example of how active and how much actively like the flares are going off right now, because I've got it contrasted down to where you can see it, but it's so bright. Those solar flares are so powerful and so bright at this current moment that I can't bring it up too much because it overexposes everything. So you could still see the sunspots. There's so much energy going on right now. That's what you're seeing. I can't get it, I'd have to bring it way down so you could see it like that. That's amazing. It is really active at the moment. That's a super huge hotspot. So let's take a look at it like this. Let's look at it inverted. So maybe we can see it the other way here. There we go. Now let me achieve a little bit better focus here. There we go. So now what we're looking at is we've just reversed the hot spots. So now everything that's dark is the hot spot. Everything that's white is the cooler spot. So there's the sunspot right there. We talked about earlier, the little filaments coming up off of the sunspot. You can see like a little half moon right there. That's where the little rope filaments are going up into the sunspot. And then this is like, like I said before, it's not a volcano, but it's like a lava bed almost. Check this out. This is the hot spot region that's going on into there. That's where all of this plasma is just trying to just leak out almost, if you will. That's not what it's doing, but kind of trying to say it in that kind of way. But that's really cool right there. This here could be something very neat to watch on a time lapse. That could be really cool. All right, sorry, I gotta catch up here with the chat here. Nikon Jax, hey, happy New Year. Hope you're still here. Barlow is magnification edition. Yep, usually 2 or 3 times makes the image larger in your imaging train. Yes. Real life issues with solar imaging. Good for folks to see. Yes, thanks. The stars and sips. There's so much that goes into it. Yes, there's a lot. Um, let's see here. Stars and sips. Wilfredo was one of the best. Oh, thank you so much, Nikon. I really appreciate that. Um, uh, Solar Sip says, I love how he explains things and makes it seem so accessible. Um, Jack says, feel free to ask him anything. He loves to help folks out. Yes, that's true. I really do. I'm glad to have you here. Appreciate you. It's looking good. Thank you very much. One of the things I love most about him, trust me, I get all the education I ever needed or wanted. Didn't. LOL. He's my better half. Yes, I love you too, sweetie. Thank you. Jack says, LMO. I know from Astro TV. He's helped me out a lot. Oh, thanks. I'm glad I could help. Nikon, I truly am. And thanks for being here. Yes, it's a great group. Yes, Astro TV is an outstanding group. And just so everyone knows, Stars and Sips is my wife, lovely wife, Sarah. So I really appreciate you being here too, babe. Love you. It's really cool, Wilfredo. I didn't know that the brightness meant more energy. Good idea to invert the image. Yes. So, sorry, I've got the sniffles. It's cold and the wind's blowing. So yeah, the more um, uh, bright does equal more energy, so to speak, because it's hotter. And of course, and the hotter the things are, the brighter things are. Our cameras try to expose that. So if you're at an exposure of 2.29 milliseconds and it's too bright, there's more energy. You have to reduce it down. So that's why we inverted it to try to see it a little bit better. And it just gives a really cool feature, really cool look to the sun on how that works. But man, I the 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 intensity and the energy that's coming out of the sun right now versus uh excuse me, when we first started this stream, it's way out there. I mean, it's way off the charts from when we first started. And and if you don't remember, just go back when we're done here, look at the beginning of the stream, and you can look at when we first started. This is a basic exposure of the sun, and you can see how these spots are just overly exposed. That's because of all that activity. It's called the hotspot regions. It's one of the best ways to find the hotspots. You turn it down, and you can see now that we've really turn the exposure down, you can see some hot spots, but you can really see what's going on. There's still some hot spot activity around that solar flare. I mean, around the solar spot, nowhere near as much as it is around this one. It looks like a lava bed, like a river of hot plasma. That's what it looks like. But it's really cool looking. All right, let's get it exposed back up just a little bit. And I always like to pull in some contrast just so you can see the difference in the way the sun looks. Let's check out the rim of the sun. Let's see how that's been going on. Let's bring down the exposure. Let's just gain it up a little bit. All right. Let's get zoomed in on a couple of those little spots up there. Wow, that's looking pretty cool now. Whoops. I got to get a little bit closer in. Sometimes this zoom feature is not the best on Sharp Cap here. All right, let's tone it down just a wee bit. There we go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. You can see the individual strands of these proms going up off of the sun. It's a bunch of plasma that is just shooting up about 100 to 150,000 kilometers off the surface of the sun and just hanging out there. The magnetic forces are just pushing that up. I am using this is right here, this camera right here is the Player One's Apollo MMAX 428 Pro. This is the Pro model. It's the cooler model. Player One sent that over to us to review. Was working it out with Dan, because Dan is a Player One distributor, and I was working through Player One and Dan, so they were able to ship it to Dan. They sent it over to us to review because we've got the other two models of the M Max. The we've got the 428 M Max, which is the same model as this, but it's not the Pro version. So I had to buy a cooler to put on it, and then we have the M Max 432, and there's a huge difference between the Apollo MMAX 432, the Apollo MMAX 428, and then the 428 Pro version, which is what we have here today. If you can save your money, I would suggest getting the Pro version because I've used this camera for 3 hours the other day, and it did not budge off of. I got it set for negative 10 degrees Celsius temperature, and it maintained it. The 428, where I've got the little $90 add-on camera that goes on, I mean the add-on cooler, it does not keep up. It works, but it will not keep up. I 3D printed a solar block to go up in front of the camera, and when it's hot outside, it will not maintain the temperature. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going to burn that camera up because it got to 42 degrees Celsius when I did my last time lapse. So I contacted them and said, "Hey, I've got these other two. I see you got that one. How about send one over and we'll do a comparison?" And they gladly sent it over. And I love this one. But I will have to tell you, the 432 has it's not double. The specs aren't that, but it almost is like a double the frame rate. So, which is really good. So if I'm going to go out and do capture the International Space Station, I'm probably going to use the 432 because it has a really high fast frame rate when you use a smaller area of interest or region of interest. This one here, you can bin it. Well, of course, this one here has 2.9 UPM pixel size, but if you bin it, it's like the 432 starts off with, because the 432 starts off with a very high uh, pixel size. But um, the quality of picture I get with this 428 Pro and the 428 is significantly better than the 432. However, you can do more with the 432 on different things than you can with this one. But then again, a lot of people say you need to have a frame rate of about 60 to 70 at a minimum to do solar imaging. But right now, I'm capturing at 48 frames per second, and it's okay for me. It's done pretty well. But this is a really, really big prominence here today on this side here. Whoops. Again, my apologies on the way that this uh, sharp cap jerks it around here. All right, hopefully you can see that. Let's see here. Give it just a second to catch up. In order for you to see a certain side of the sun, I gotta zoom in and move it around. So the more I zoom in, the worse the picture gets. So let me see if I can get it a little bit better as we go around the rim of the sun here. Wow, look at those. Let's back that off a little bit. All right, so it looks like the sun is on fire, but truly it's not on fire. That's just, oh, I just saw a bird go by. That was pretty cool. All right, let's do this. Let's let you see it in this mode here. But what I got to do is I got to bring it back down to a reasonable area here. Hang on. Let me get it back to where it was, and I'll let you see it in the um, inverted mode, and we can bring out some really cool details that way. Just give me just a second here. There we go. Oh yeah, there we go. So now those proms are looking really good. All right, so keep up with the chat here. Let's see. Jack says, "Yep, with camera, cool. Yep, got several Player One cameras from him. Yes, yeah, I love Dan. He's got an endless supply of stuff, and especially an endless supply if my wife's retirement fund doesn't dry up. Love you, babe. um, let's see. Jackson, you shot mine with the Player One. Um, oh, you bought it from the club on the Lunt 50. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That is pretty cool. All right. Um, I'm looking up here. So, sorry, I was just checking where I'm set up in the yard. Uh, it depends. Like if I get too early in the yard in the morning, I got trees on one side of me, and then I have to wait till it clears. And then if I go too late in the afternoon, the sun moves over into these trees over here. And then if I go in the front yard, I'll shoot over the house and get all that extra heat displacement. Um, are we going to have a? Oh, it's going to be so close. I don't know if no. There's a big plane coming, but it's just barely going to miss us. I'm just checking to make sure it's not going to have a chance of actually going in. Because if it was, I'd turn it back to a different view of the sun so you're able to hit it. Gosh, it's so close. We haven't caught a plane yet, but it's close. I really wish we would capture a plane. Let me get this thing refocused back in. Since got a little off there. Oh, that was either a bird or a satellite that just went by there when I was zoomed in like that. That was cool. Oh yeah, there are solutions to the tree, and yes, um, I I'll have to say that I've had my fair share of trying to deal with trees, and I have to now pay professional because if you have not seen the video, um, uh, I rented some equipment and I did some tree removal and oh my gosh, y'all, hang on a second. What is that? Okay, I'm gonna get my phone out. I think I have two big bald eagles. And babe, if you're in the house, you should come out and check this out. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are two bald eagles flying above right where we're imaging, and they might cross paths here. But I just want to see if I can get them on video because I want to see that. Sorry, y'all, just a second. I think it is a bald eagle. They're just too hard to see. They might come across path though. The last solar stream we had. Which lunt are we using? We are using the LS60 MT. So it's the modular, the 60. Um, it's this. I tell you, if if you buy one, I've got a Coronado PST, which is like a 40. It's less, it's smaller than a 40, but it's like a 40 millimeter. It's very small. Um, it does very good. I took very good pictures with it. And then I heard of people having problems with the 50 and focusing and the way the cameras connect. So you have to do a song and dance to 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 make that thing focus up. And a buddy of mine in Mexico has got a Lunt 50, and I did a little video for him to show him how I figured out how to get it to go, and it worked for him. But with the 60, there's no focus problems no matter what you connect to it. You just have to imagine on use your imagination on how you want to connect your gear. But if I had to do it all over again, those eagles are they were right over here, and and we've got a plane, we've got a plane that's on track for the sun. It's going to be close, but the eagles were right up there. I don't see them anymore. Yeah, yeah. And these I thought they were vultures because they were so huge, but you could see the tail. Yeah. We missed the plane on that one. But uh oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's why I hire professionals from now on. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, if we take any trees down, it's got to be professionals. Yeah, yeah. But the if I had to buy, well, I do want to get another solar scope, but um I'm gonna go with the 150, or is it the 152? Um I think it's the 150. I think Lump makes the 132 or the 130 and the 152. One of the two. That's what I want to go with. And go with the big blocking filter so you can get zoom in and you can get uh, up on the prominences because those scopes, it's either the 130. Let's just say it's a 132 and the 150. They're both 900 millimeter focal length. However, the 132 or the 130 is um, it's an f7, and the 150 is an f6. And I know that's not a big difference, but when you're solar imaging and you're using a Barlow, that can make all the difference in the world on how dark your image is going to be and how much more gain or how much more exposure and your frame rate you're going to get. So, in my opinion, if I'm going to do solar imaging, I'm going to want that f6. So I'm going to try to get that. But where I volunteer on the weekends at the Boeing Observatory here in Columbia, South Carolina, and they have a Lunt 80, and it's a nice scope. So if I had to go back and redo it, I probably would have gotten the 80 to begin with instead of the 60. But there's always a budgetary reason there. But um, the Lunt 80 is a great scope. Um, um, got my little baby out here. Come here. You wanna see everybody? Come here. Come here. You wanna be on camera? Come here. Don't go on the wires. Come here. Coco Chanel. Come here. Look. Come here. Look. Say hey. Look. Look at the camera right there. Look at the sun. Look at that. Look at that. Tell everybody hi. Say hi. Hi. Okay. Now let's say Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year's. Okay. Okay, Coco Chanel. Just don't get caught up in the wires there, sweetie. All right. So yeah, the Lunt 50. I know a couple people who have it. It's a great scope. All Lunt equipment is good stuff. I just would not personally, um, i- if I were going to get into solar watching or solar imaging, I would, and that's all I could to get in was get a 40. I would go that route, but you know, I would wait and maybe save up or mow a few more extra yards, save some lunch money and get that extra, um, go to the 60 at a minimum. So that way there's no focus problems. Now, the 40 and the 50, visually wise, you can look at whatever you want to look at and it's great. But it's just a little tricky and you got to think outside the box on how you're going to do imaging if you're going to image with a 50. But it's possible. It happens all the time. I mean, a lot of people do it, but the 60, there's no issues. And this is a 60, and it's got a great view. As you can see, it's got good detail. And this is just a single stack. They make a double stack um, a filter for this. They make an extra $2,000 filter you can put on there. I just don't want to spend that extra $2,000 because in an end result, I'd rather take that $2,000 and put it towards the $13,000 upgraded telescope, which would take several years down the road. But that's just me because not the average person isn't going to want that gigantic 35-pound solar scope, but for research, purposes, and my wife's retirement fund, being able to support it possibly, maybe in the future. Thanks, babe. All right, so um, again, thank you all for being here. We are looking at the sun today on New Year's Day, using Lunt Solar Systems LS60MT, which is a modular solar telescope, using a Player One. It's a Apollo MMAX 428 Pro. That's the camera here that you see here. It was sent to us to Wilfredo's Astrophotography, sent to the channel for review by Player One. Um, and that's what we are doing today is just testing it out and Jack says she should get a cookie for that. Yeah. Um, and we're just looking at the sun and testing this camera out, and that's one of the things that we do for testing is um, we one image the sun and two do a live stream to make sure that it is actually going to hold up and produce like it's supposed to, and it is. It's been live streaming now for 2 hours and 26 minutes, and the temperature setting uh, has not budged. It is holding at a -10. Actually, it's down to -10.1 Celsius. It's about 57 degrees outside. We've got Wow, these um, SV Boney. You know, I don't try to promote a lot of things other than Astro World telescopes because Dan is awesome and I love him to death. But SV Boney makes great cheap dew heaters, um, and that's what I have wrapped around the blocking filter and the Etalon filter of this Lunt scope. Because for whatever reason, when it's cold, um, the pressure or the temperature and the Etalon, the way that filter works, for me, in my opinion, it gets a way better detail when it's hot. So, so this scope I think works great in summertime, but in the wintertime or when it's below like 60, I put these dew heaters on there, and it brings the detail out, makes it a little bit darker. Excuse me. All right, so let me double check, make sure there's no planes coming by. Let's go let's go into some sunspots here and let's take a look around the sun. But let's look at some sunspots up close and personal. Let's look at this one. This one's looking really good here. Let's get it contrasted up. Let's see here. Oh yeah. So in some of my first live streams, or not live streams, but first times trying to use this scope, um, I didn't know about the heat um, affecting it, and I just guessed it. So um, I went and got a heating pad. I just took a heating pad out of the closet and put it on there, and it worked great. But it was bulky and it was hard for tracking, and it's got in the way of everything. So now I use these dew heaters, and I've got a 14 inch, not a 14-inch. It's a 12. It might be an 11-inch dew heater on the Etalon filter. It's wrapped enough to where it goes around it twice, so it covers it twice. And then I got two separate dew heaters on the blocking filter. They both wrap around it uh, one time each way. Um, and I modified one of them. I hand sewn a piece of Velcro off the end of it to make it longer for latching, so it goes around my Rokinon 135 lens a little bit better. And then I use that one on the Rokinon, and then I also have it on the APO 130. It's able to attach itself to that. So yes, if you have a Lunt or a Coronado and it's cold outside, try using a dew heater on it. You don't have to put it on the whole scope, but put it where the Etalon filter is or put it where the blocking filter is and give it a shot. For me, it was a game changer because give you an idea of the difference on what it looks like. Um, if you go back into my videos uh, on my channel here, there's one where I go and capture the International Space Station for the first time. I just got the scope. I ran up 2 hours up north and found where it was going to come through a field and set it up. It was cold. It was 45 degrees outside. I didn't know at that time that the heat would mess with it. So um, I thought that the O-ring, there's an O-ring on that on this filter on this tuning knob right here. There's an O-ring in there that builds pressure in there, and I thought that O-ring was messed up because it wasn't building enough pressure because that's how the detail comes out. Turns out though, um, it was just too cold. So if you see it now and see all this detail now, and back in the beginning of the stream, I was adjusting that knob to show you how the detail is, and we can do that here and again in just a minute. But show you how the detail goes, um, um, and how it builds with pressure or less pressure. When the International Space Station came by, it didn't look very good because the the detail wasn't there because the scope was cold and the filter and the blocking filter was cold, and I didn't know that. So when I came back, that's when I started using that uh, I bought a new O-ring, I put it in there, and it still didn't do it. And that's when I figured out it needed heat. So give it a shot. The heat definitely works. But right now, this is really clear. This is looking really good. This sunspot here is holding together from the very beginning when we first started. And there's um, a little bit of change in it from the very beginning. It's kind of like a bean shape now, from where when we first started it was more round. Um, I know it's kind of fuzzy to see, but definitely um, it's definitely changing over the course of the last 2 hours because we've been doing this for 2 hours. So there we go. There's a little bit. These what's really cool is I really love the way that these filaments are extending out from the sun. And again, a filament and a prominence are one of the same. It just depends on how you're looking at it. These filaments are because we're looking at the sun directly. If we were looking at it from a side perspective, it would be a prominence. But that's so cool looking just to see that. Let's see what it looks like. If we can stay right here, zoomed in like this, and we take away the color, and if we were to go inverted, that's what it looks like inverted. Still pretty neat. I know it's zoomed in way too much, but there goes a bird just flew by. But that's those clouds, what looks like puffy clouds all over. Those are um, filaments, and that's just waves of basically like plasma. What are the longer, darker streaks? Okay, yes. So the longer, darker streaks, like what we have right here. Let's zoom in on one a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. Let's get this. I don't know why. I'm going to have to zoom in a little. Well, there we go. Sometimes this zoom feature is a little. I got the window shrunk down, so let me scoot this over. Well, no, I can't scoot it over. Sorry, I'll hang on a second. I'm just gonna realign where we're at here. Just want to make sure that I'm broadcasting the picture that what I'm talking about here. All right. So these longer streaks, these filaments, they look like clouds. These long streaks are filaments, plasma. It's usually anchored at one end here. If we zoom way in, maybe I can get it over there on the screen so you can see it. Yeah, there we go. Maybe you can see that here. Just a second, let it catch up. Let me focus. There we go. It's about the best I can get it. So there's a good example of a filament there. It's really long, extending out really, really far. That's just plasma being lifted up off the surface, usually anchored at one end over here and anchored at another. And it's actually up off the surface like this one. This looks like the St. Louis Arch. It's anchored here. It comes up to about 150,000 kilometers off the solar surface and comes back down here. You could drive underneath this thing just like if it were going underneath. You could do that. But that's just plasma. The magnetic forces are lifting the plasma up, and it's just bringing it back down. It's the same thing. All these little, looks like cloud, fuzzy looking things. That's all filaments sticking up. They're prominences, but we're looking at them straight on, so we call them filaments. But if we were looking at it from the side, all these things right here, all these little things right here, if we were to look at them from the side, they would look like this. So these are prominences, huge, really, really huge prominences that are coming up off the solar rim. So those are the exact same thing that we're looking at right here. It's just that these we're looking straight on. Can you see them from the side? Well, yes, you can. And here's how you can see these filaments from the side by doing this. If we were to look at this one right here, where the cursor is, we can't really see that from the side. We could if we waited a couple hours and the sun rotated around to where it was on the side, or we just simply zoom in to something over here on the left-hand side. If we were to zoom way in there, let's zoom in, something way over here. So there we go. So now we've zoomed in. This one here, as you can see right here, this one here is a filament. It's almost a prominence because we're looking at it almost on the edge. You can tell that it's coming up off the edge here. It's coming up from here and coming up to about right here. You can see that. You can see these are kind of standing up from the edge. You just have to catch them from the edge, and you can kind of see through a little cloud right here. Let's darken that up a little bit, or let's even change the way we're looking at it. Let's look at it with a normal light here. Maybe we can see it this way a little bit better. Yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit better this way. As you can kind of see right here, we're looking through the side. We can see it here. We're kind of looking at an angle here. It's difficult to see, but let's see here. Let's get this back down to where it should be here. You always have to keep manipulating the contrast and the sliders on this thing to enable a good view of the sun. And it really depends on, oh, the upper left. Yes, so let's go over here to the upper left here. Let's zoom in back here. There's another one. This one right here. This is a really good example here. This one here is going straight up. Let's see if we can tone it down a little bit. Yeah, this one right here is going straight up. It looks like a chimney. Like if there was a forest fire out in the middle of the woods, this particular filament, prominence, is going straight up. Probably 150,000 kilometers or so. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's go to the upper left like we were headed there. Let's just get there first. All right, let me check. There's a big plane there. I'm just checking for planes. I don't want to miss a plane. And we got a few more minutes before we run into a tree here. So we can go a little bit longer, and then we're probably going to have to tone it down. So let's go to the top left. Let's get it over there in the top left. See if we can see. There we go. There's one right there. Let's bring it over just a little bit. So now we're looking at this from the side. Let's darken it up just a little bit and maybe contrast it in a little bit. I'm trying to get it low. Let's tell you what, let's change perspectives. But yes, this right here, filament, now you can see it standing up really long too. There we go. That's even a better view of that. Check that out. That looks like a bunch of clouds. That's pretty cool looking there. That's the top left. Let me get focused in a little bit better. Give it a second for that to catch up. But there we go. There's a good example right there, the top left, of filaments standing up. And this would be a hedgerow. This would actually be a hedgerow of prominences once it rotates to the side. And this is probably 400,000, maybe 500,000 kilometers long. This is a huge way across the solar surface. And these are standing up pretty high as well. Really, really high off the solar surface. So I know this thing is lagging behind. I'll give it just a second for it to catch up and to show you what we're looking at. I wish I had a different way of, excuse me. I wish I had a different way of zooming in so you could see the entire screen. I could do that, but then we would probably lose um, the other camera views that we have. But give it just a second. It's going to catch up to you. You're going to see the upper left-hand corner here in just a second. And that's pretty cool looking. It looks like a big cloud drifting across. And please remember to hit the like button, hit the share button if you can. And I want to say thank you, Jax. Thank you to everyone who, to my wife, to everyone who has hung out here for a while. Um, I'm just looking back through the chat, see if some people are still here. Corinne, Les Roy's, Stars and Sips, Nikon, um, several others, HA Solar Views. Thank you so much uh, for hanging out on New Year's Day, checking out the sun with me today. I really appreciate it, and I would not give you a challenge, but go back to the beginning of the on your free time. Go back to the beginning. Um, um, when this is almost over with, and I we'll get the view changed back around. Steve, looking up. Yep, happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Steve. Thank you very much. When just before we're done with this live stream, I'll bring it back around to the beginning of the picture, the sun, a full view, and I would say go back for yourself to see how it's changed. Look at the, we'll go around the rim of the sun, but look at it, the difference between when we first started the live stream, because we started 2 hours and 44 minutes ago. Go back and look at it at the beginning of the stream to what it looks like now. And then you'll see for yourself the comparison on how, one, the sun rotates, two, how the solar flares can build over time, how the filaments change over time, how the prominences change over time. Just check that out. So let me go back to this view here. Sorry, I'm trying to get it back to where it's cool and viewable here. Awesome. Yes, you'll do that. Perfect, Jax. Thank you very much. And also, for those of you who haven't known or haven't seen, I do have a video out there. It teaches you, it's an instructional video, a tutorial on how to process a solar image, a hydrogen alpha, such as this. The title of it is How to Process Solar Images. If you look at the description in the video, there's a link to my Google Drive that has SCR files in there, which is the video file that I've captured to create the solar image. It's free. It's a trusted site. You can go in there, download that file, watch the video, and actually process your own solar image from the data that I provided. So if you're interested, give that a shot. And if you know anyone who is interested in learning how to do that, share that video link with them so they can go over and download the data and try it for themselves. All right, let's see here. I am looking. I was hoping we would catch a plane. I really would love to catch a plane. We've got about, I don't know. We do probably have 15 or 20 more minutes that I can do this. And then we are going to end up running into, we won't physically run into a tree, but the actual sun is going to run into a tree. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring this back to normal, because what I want to do is, before this beautiful looking sun goes away, I want to get it all focused up, and I'm going to take an image of the sun. So let me get this thing a good focus here. And what I'll do is I'll get some good data, and what I'll do is, if I can, I think I can. I'm pretty sure I can. If y'all are interested in it, I will try to get it just right for you. I'm going to put this back to none, go to auto. I'm going to take a video, and then I'm going to post this video in the description. Okay. So please go back in the description. Like we said before, go back and check out the sun. Let me get the histogram just right here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let me start a capture here, and I'm going to call this sun for YouTube. All right, there we go. We are capturing right now a file of the sun, one for me to process, but also for you to process too. We're going to get, let's say 1500 frames. So that way it's not so large that you can't get it into, because it's going to take me a while to upload it. Starlink doesn't like big files. All right, so that's 1600 frames right there. 1563 frames. Witness protection. You've been studying the solar, I can't see that, solar flares since it's 3. Oh yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm glad you're here. Hang on a second. Oh, there's a tree. I'm glad I got that just now. Look at the bottom of this. The tree is coming into a play here. So, we have just a few more minutes. Let me zoom in here, so you can kind of see there's the tree coming in. And if you don't believe me, check this out. I'm going to off center this view here. Watch this. We'll focus on the tree here. Hang on. Look at there. Look at that. There's the tree. It's coming into the tree. So there we go. Let's get it focused back up. Let's go look at another solar. Let's look and check out the solar flares real quick that are going on at the moment, and then we'll have to end this. But give me just a little while. It's going to probably be maybe tomorrow. I'll get that file loaded up, maybe tonight. But it's gonna be at least a 2 gigabyte file, so it's going to take me just a minute. But I promise you, I will get that file loaded up of the sun as it was, just as you saw it, and you'll be able to process the solar image that we just saw today. You could just trim. Oh yeah, I could probably trim the branches, but I have to check with the CEO first. Because if you go back and watch the video of me doing the stuff in the yard before, you'll understand why that is. But what this is you're seeing right here, Mr. Witness Protection, these bright areas of the sun, that is the flare activity going on in the sun currently. As you can see right here, let me get this focused in here a little bit better. There we go. So you can see right here, we got a little bit of flare activity around these sunspots right here. And we have a huge active region going on right here around this sunspot. So this is where we actually have some flares going on at the moment around this particular sunspot right here. Lots of activity going on. Oh yeah, you'll help me trimming around there. You're good with ladders? Yeah, yeah. I have about 30 or 40 trees I want to take down. I did take down some trees, but you should go and watch that short. It's a short video that I posted, one of my shorts that shows me on a tractor, and then I didn't accidentally hit a water line. The water line just got in the way, and then And then I had to hire a professional to come out and take care of the stumps. And now I still have a big hole out here in the yard. And there's a professional coming out on the 20th of January to cover the hole up, put some fill dirt in there and take care of the hole. But check this out. We're going to zoom in real quick on this sunspot before it gets to a point where we're not going to be able to see it anymore. Let's see if I can get that zoomed in. Oh, I know what I needed to do. More importantly than this, we are at that point of the stream that I need to show you the outside. So here's what make a mental note here. You don't have to make a mental note. Here's the end of the stream. This is what it looks like here. Let's boost it up so we can see what the edge of the rim looks like. All right, so there you go. That's what the edge of the sun looks like now for prominences. Now at the end of the stream. So look at all these over here, off to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 or so. And then go and look at the very beginning of when we first started. There was not a whole lot. Let's put this back down to a normal position. And let's look at the hot spots. So look at what we have here. And sorry, the trees are in the way. I can't do much about that. Look at the regions now. That region is not so hot anymore. Earlier, it was really, 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 really hot. I mean, it is hot, but it's not as overpowering as it was because now I can actually show the surface of the sun and not be blown out by all of the activity. So just in the course of the last 40 minutes, the flare activity going around this particular sunspot here has died down. It has significantly gone down. So that's pretty cool. And you can see that from the very beginning of the stream till now. You can see where these sunspots in this area right here, there's no activity. Well, I won't say no activity, but there's very minimal activity here. This was jumping at the beginning of the stream. That's where it was at. It was really going on right there. So there we have it. There is the sun today, New Year's Day. Thank you all very much for hanging out. Please hit that like, subscribe button, and then if you can, share the stream, and then go back in and look at the stream from the very beginning to get a shot of what it looked like now. Even screenshot it on your phone, and you can see the difference on how the flare activity has increased and then decreased, and then the prominences around the rim, how they have changed throughout the course of this. Right at 3 hours. We have almost been streaming for 3 hours, so check that out. That's pretty cool. Witness Protection says traveling at the speed of light to watch the positions and amazing feat. Bravo. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Cool. Thank you, Jax. See you on Airwood. Yeah. I'm not sure when the next stream for Astroworld Telescopes is or Astroworld TV is, but I can't wait to see you there. Thank everyone for watching, and I'm going to start this capture here because I'm going to record this as a well, remember, give me a couple hours till tomorrow to upload the video of the sun so you can process it yourself, but I'm going to record this as I go because I'm going to fade out the stream to the tree here. So y'all have a wonderful rest of the New Year's. Thanks for watching. And everyone have a wonderful day here. Look at the tree as it goes bye-bye. And there we go. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for watching. And everyone have a wonderful, happy new year. And I will see you all real soon. Thanks for watching.